Lake Isabel is only accessible via bushwhack, the last quarter mile of which there isn't even a formal trail to the lake, unless you take a float plane. But even if you have access to a float plane, it doesn't mean getting in is a total cakewalk. Lake Isabel is located about 30 nautical miles from Payne Field along the western side of the Cascade Mountains in Washington State. The flight from Payne Field took us about 20 minutes. It's nestled in a valley and is safest approached from the east as a one-way in, one-way out, roughly 6,000-foot long water runway. The approach starts via following the ridgeline at about 5,000 feet above sea level on the south side of the lake as a high left downwind, about 2,200 feet above the lake's surface. We use this time to inspect the lake for the surface winds, obstructions in the water, and plan ahead a safe taxi route as to where we plan to beach the plane. This time around, the winds were dead calm, which led to a challenge later on, but we'll touch on that in a bit. For now, let's begin the approach. Once reaching the eastern ridgeline, we ensured we configured for a water landing with the gear up and flaps set, and that we'd slow to our final approach speed. Now began the fun part, forward slipping the 2,200 feet down to the lake, overtop the beautiful mountainside sprinkled with Douglas firs, waterfalls, and dusted with snow. As we began to approach the altitude where we could remove the forward slip inputs to set up for the touchdown, we set up for the glassy water landing thanks to the dead calm winds. This was part of the challenge mentioned earlier because landing on glassy water removes reference to your height above the lake without using additional procedures to land safely. In this case, we used the south shoreline as what's referred to as a visual reference in order to have some gauge of our height above the water. We additionally set up the plane in a 150 foot per minute descent rate while keeping the shoreline in our offset vision as our reference for height above the water. To land, simply hold this stable configuration with your eyes locked onto the end of the lake, keeping the shoreline in your offset vision until you feel the whole of the airframe contact the water. Welcome to Lake Isabel. Time to taxi to the beach to take in the incredible views. There's a beautiful little trail up to a great view of the beach below. Departing from Lake Isabel is exhilarating as well. By the time we went to depart, the winds had picked up out of the west, so we made sure to taxi to the very eastern shore to utilize the entire lake for departure. Time to depart. Once airborne, we climbed westbound and had no problem clearing the tree line at the west end thanks to the nice headwind. Time to head home to the boring hard surface runway. If you think landing on terra firma is boring, be sure to like and subscribe. Happy landings and splash one on for us. We'll see you next week with a new upload.